Hello, friends. Happy Sunday. Happy Father's Day to all of those fathers out there and father figures out there. Happy almost summer solstice. It's moving fast and furious lately, y'all. How are you? I hope everyone is well. Give me an emoji that tells me kind of what's up with you right now. I would be all over the map right now, to be perfectly honest. It just feels like with all of the astrological influences, the planetary influences, the energetic influences, add to that my own personal stuff that's, moving and shaking and shifting in my own life. And it is a lot right now. Let's just be honest about that. And, the fact that it's a lot doesn't have to mean a bad thing. It just definitely feels like one of those moments where whatever it is that we are being called to engage with is asking for our full presence, our full engagement, our full investment, our full attention, all of that stuff. So what I'm going to do today is a mid-month update. I've been thinking about it the past couple of days. I've had a lot of stuff going on personally as my living situation is shifting rapidly, much sooner than I thought. I have to be out of here in about 2 weeks. So I am definitely on the free fall in the moment of just saying, okay, Spirit, where are we going? Where are you going to plant me next? But it's all good. It's just, one of those moments where it feels like the roller coaster is starting to crest, like it's starting to reach the top of the highest part of the roller coaster, and we're getting ready for that zoom back down. And that's always just, a call to be really centered, really grounded, and really rooted in our own sense of self, our own sense of truth, and our own sense of what's present and at play for us. And I think that can be challenging sometimes, especially when the external world is also really, really loud. Right now, I think no matter where you look, no matter what corner of the planet you're focusing on, there's just a lot happening. And so I understand that sometimes it can be difficult to find that sense of peace, that sense of connection or clarity or balance, or just a moment of like, can I just please exhale, right? Can I just please unclench from this like tight, tense sort of, really activated, really wound up. So hopefully what this reading can do is offer a little bit of guidance, a little bit of insight. As always, for these collective readings, this is for the collective. You are going to find information here that will absolutely resonate with you individually, but it's not specific to you. If you're looking for an individual reading, I'm offering those. The link to my calendar is in my bio in the link tree, or you can just go to my site, amar.energy, and you'll see a tab at the top that says services. It'll take you directly to my booking calendar. So yeah, it's a lot. Let's just be honest. It's a lot right now. And I've been talking about this since the end of last year and the beginning of this year. If you find me on my YouTube channel, Amar Energy, I have all of those monthly forecasts for you. And I've been talking about how, this energy is going to continue to build. The energy is really at a pinnacle moment right now, and we are reaching this crescendo through the rest of this calendar year and the beginning of next year. And then I see like mid-year next calendar year. So around this time next year in 2025 is when I think we're going to start to feel a sense of like, oh, okay, the dust is starting to settle a little bit. We can start to see clearly, but right now is not that time. Right now is the time where it's about just root in, drop in, connect to yourself, and just allow yourself to be guided, to be carried, to be shown. I talked about this at the beginning of June in the June Ascension report, that this is the month where the path is going to reveal itself. This is the month where the path is going to start to show itself. And here we are midstream, and I think that's happening. So let me know in the comments if that's for you. Like, are you seeing all of a sudden things pointing you in a new direction, maybe a specific direction, or maybe it's pointing you away from things? I think that's something that's important to acknowledge is when we talk about the path forward, I think most of us assume like the things that we want it to be, right? We're like, oh, the path to success, the path to, freedom, the path to my relationship or whatever. And certainly those are, things that we can want and things we can aspire to and things that we can really be calling towards us. But I think it's important to understand that the path forward doesn't always mean it makes sense. The path forward doesn't always show us point A to point B. I think that when we really begin to move into a deep communion with spirit, a deep unification with self, what we realize is the why is really how we can begin to set intentions. Why do I want this? Why am I showing up? What is important to me? Why are the things that what is it that gets me out of bed in the morning? But the how oftentimes is really spirit saying, okay, if this is what you want, then you're going to go in this direction. And it's not always going to show up in the way that we think it should, want it to, or even hope that it will. But that doesn't mean that we can't just assume that everything is happening for us. I really like Bashar's approach, which says assign positive meaning to anything or everything. Assign positive meaning to everything. It is no more unrealistic to assume that everything is going right than it is unrealistic to assume that everything is going to hell or going to shit or falling apart. Because it's really just a matter of perspective. And when you understand your place in the cosmos, in the hierarchy of beings, and you understand that you are connected to all that is, you really begin to understand, or you can begin to understand that this is really for me. This is advancing me in the direction of my soul's desires, my heart's desires, the entirety of self, not just the small, limited ego self that often desires things that are very, very different and frankly aren't always good for us or in our best interests. So I think what is really helpful for me lately is rather than saying, okay, Spirit, show me the highest timeline, show me the best outcome, show me the right choice. What I'm asking for is, Spirit, show me the most grounded choice. Show me the most rooted choice. So show me the choice and the option that is the most connected to what is important for me, what is crucial for me, what is true for me. And I think that's when we begin to see things shift. So it's not about right or wrong, good or bad, success or failure. It's just about what is it that I most need right now to be the fullest expression of the being that I am. And when I remember that I am a part of all of it, I am not excluded from anything on any level beyond what the mind tells me, right? Then I can begin to see like, okay, I don't know how this is helping me. I don't know how this is good for me. I don't know how this is advancing my path, but I can just trust that it is. So I think that's where we are. Yeah, it is, Susan. It is about the leaf blower is moving stuff, right? It's like we're in there, and I hate leaf blowers, but that's an apt analogy. We're clearing the path. It's being shown. Or when that big gust of wind comes in and blows away all the fog or blows away all the smoke, and suddenly now I can see the horizon clearly. So what we do here with these collective readings is I draw one card to represent your energy or the collective energy. I draw 3 cards, one to represent what's coming in, one to represent what wants to leave, and one to represent what's here right now. And then we'll draw 2 additional cards at the end that will show us what is hidden, perhaps like what's behind the scenes or behind the curtain. And then we'll also ask for a suggestion or recommendation on what our medicine could be at this time. I really think that June, and I think through the end of, or through all of summer, we're really, even though we're moving into the very feminine season of Cancer, it is going to be still this masculine expression. It's what I've been calling the cosmic dad energy. And it's the resurrected, rectified, reconciled, reunified, rehold, and rehealed masculine energy. It's our masculine principle. And how do we proceed taking action and claiming the things that we know are for us and building the things that we want to build, but make it benevolent, make it compassionate, make it kind. We don't have to go into aggression. We don't have to go into anger or violence. We don't have to go into exclusion or, locking the doors and, surrounding ourselves in the ivory tower. It's about actually resisting the urge to go into defense and opening the heart wider, making our connection deeper. Really diving into that compassion and digging deep, deep, deep into that well of endless compassion and really seeing things through a different lens. The days of violence and subjugation and submission and exclusion are over. And now it's just a matter of the rest of the world catching up to that frequency that really began to emanate, I saw very, very clearly at the end of last year, and that we're going to continue to see reverberate through our collective experience through the middle of next year. I really think that the middle of next year is when we start to see things a little more clearly. But for now, we're here, right? We're here today in this moment, middle of June in the northern hemisphere. We're getting ready to move into summer. So for us right now, wherever we are on the planet, we're here today. We're here now, and we're here in this moment. So I think while it's important to have the vision and the dream for where we want to go and where we want to land, I think it's also important just to say, okay, Spirit, this is the ultimate goal for me. and I'm letting it all go. Put the intention out, get really, really clear, and then release it. I think one of the keys to manifestation is the level of intensity and investment you have in the desire that you want so deeply. You must also hold an equal amount of willingness to surrender completely. So if your desire is at a 10, then your willingness to surrender it all must also be at a 10, because you have no way of knowing, none of us has any way of knowing what we are going to be asked to surrender, to let go of, to resurrect, to reclaim, to take accountability for, to take a responsibility for. We just have to understand everything is for you and everything is from you. I think that's one of the keys that we can really tap into right now. And it's actually, pardon me, it's actually one of the notes in my book, Notes from the Higher Self, available on Amazon by me, Amar. Everything is for you and everything is from you. Nothing is your adversary. All right, on to the reading. So, as always with me, it's intuitive tarot. I understand the classic tarot interpretation. I understand the classic tarot wisdom. And I also like to offer my own interpretation. So I really take an intuitive approach to it, and I really look at the card as a point of departure, not necessarily as a rule telling me this is what the message is. Sometimes it's, the card is the card and that's the message. And other times we're looking at other aspects of the symbolism or the imagery or whatever comes in intuitively. But you'll see what I'm talking about as we proceed. All right, here we go. Let's just take a second to connect. Whew. There she is. Okay, so here we... Oh, not surprising in the least. Not surprising at all what I'm seeing. And a lot of big lessons this month, a lot of big themes. So, in terms of where we are right now, the card that's represent our collective energy or your energy in the moment is the Magician reversed. This is not surprising at all. This is all about the Mercury energy, and we are also in, Gemini right now, and Gemini is ruled by Mercury. So we are in that place where things are moving fast and furious, man. It is like ideas, and Mercury is the messenger of the gods. So Mercury is about our mental understanding, our mental communication, and also the projection that our mental stories create. So really what we can realize is that life is not objective. 99.9% of our reality is completely subjective. The majority of what we experience out there, what we see out there, has no inherent meaning. It is simply the stage upon which we project our belief system, project our identity, project our understanding and our level of awareness, and that is the play or the show that we are creating. So think of yourself as being in the movie theater, watching the screen. The screen is what is projected. The film that is running in front of the light. I mean, I know it's digital now, but back in the day, it was an actual strip of film that ran in front of the light. Think of the light as spirit. The light in the movie projector is your consciousness. The light shines eternally and infinitely, and the light shines no matter what. The sun is not shining exclusively. It doesn't shine on the righteous and keep, the sinners in the dark, so to speak. I don't believe in sinners and saints, but you get what I'm saying. The idea that the sun just shines. The light of spirit just shines. It simply is. It does not withhold. It does not judge. It is not punitive. It does not punish. It does not reward. It simply shines. And the film strip that runs in front of the light is your belief system. It's your thoughts. It's your history. It's your patterning. It's your trauma, whether conscious, unconscious, resolved, or unresolved. And what you see on the screen in front of you is a byproduct of what you believe to be true about yourself and others in the world and your place in it. And it is the light that illuminates what you see on the screen. So if you don't like what you're seeing on the screen, don't yell at the screen. Don't yell at the projector. Change the film strip. Change the loop that is running through your mind. So when we look at the Magician reversed, there's a couple of things that I see. Number one, the magician isn't necessarily in their detriment when they're in reverse. And I don't necessarily read the cards as, upright is good and reversed is bad. It's not that simple. It's really about nuance. It's really about interpretation and the gray area. So to see the magician reversed, what I'm hearing is you have everything you need. You just don't really understand how to put it all together right now. And what we can see with the magician, if we turn it upright just for a moment to look at the image, the magician has everything they need. The magician is in the garden with all of the lush fruits, all of the food that the person needs to eat and to feed themselves and to sustain themselves. They have all of the tools that they need, right? They have the wand, they have the cup, they have the pentacle, they have the sword. The magician understands as above, so below. So the magician is connected to the higher awareness and the higher intelligence, but the magician also knows that the role of the magician, the practitioner, the wizard, the healer, whatever you call it, their job is to bring that down into form and root it into something real. I've been getting this message left, right, and center. It is time to let go of the magical thinking. It is time to accept and claim responsibility for the fact that we live in a material world, we live in a material realm, and therefore a physical realm requires a physical choice. It requires a physical experience. You can't just look at it and expect it to teach you anything. If you want to understand what's in the book, you have to read the book. You're not just going to magically absorb the information from the book by sitting in the same room as it, personally speaking, I'm going through this financial reconciliation. I'm sorry, I'm sweaty. I was outside earlier. I'm going through this financial reconciliation. I'm realizing where in my life I still have these old magical thoughts about debt and about finances and about accountability and about being responsible and in control of my own financial understanding. I had a lot of bullshit ideas. One of the worst ones I think that we often uphold in our spiritual community is that money is the root of all evil. Baby, money is no more evil than this pen is. Money is simply a tool, and it's really about how we use it, what is our intention for it, and what is our relationship with it. So the magician reversed, what I see first is look where the wand is pointed now. When the magician is upright, the magician is connected to those higher realms and connected to the ether, drawing that energy down into the form, down into the physical to make something of it, to use it. But when the magician is reversed, the first thing I'm seeing is that wand is pointing to the ground. The magician reversed is saying, baby, you have to root this into something. You have to take action. If you want to be a painter, you have to paint. If you want to be a dancer, you have to dance. If you want to be a truck driver, you have to go get your license and get a truck. If you want to be a fascist dictator, then you have to go overthrow some people, right? Whatever it is that you want, you have to do it. At some point, you have to take the risk. You're never going to get very far in life if you're not willing to take a little bit of risk, right? What is the saying? Just sitting on your biscuit, never willing to risk it. And risk doesn't have to mean danger. The mind might think that it's dangerous because you're moving outside of the comfort zone, but you're not if you have the time to sit and think, I wonder if I'm in danger, then you're not in danger. When you're really in actual danger, you're not going to have time to sit and consider if you are. So the magician reversed as your energy is saying, baby, it's time to root all of your magic into something physical. And you have all the things that you need, and you might be feeling kind of upside down right now because of all of the clearing and the collapse that has happened since that last eclipse. I think it was end of May, beginning of April, or end of April, beginning of May. It really shook things up. It's almost like this table had a Real Housewives moment and just turned the table upside down and everything went flying, and then it clatters to the floor. And now you're at the point of going, okay, where is everything? What do I have left? What is still mine? What is still relevant? What is still important and necessary? Also, we can look at the magician and the number 1. The magician is the card that follows the fool. So the magician really is the first step. The magician understands, and that's the point of ritual. That's the point of ceremony. That's the point of a spell. You're always going to have a physical component of something to burn or something to, weave together, or, pulling the petals off of a rose and putting it into a potion or whatever the thing is. You're always going to have a physical component because you have to focus it in a physical way. And that's so that the mind and the body and the systems of your physical self can witness, oh, this is what we're doing now. Oh, this is the choice that we're making. So your energy as the magician reversed is telling me it's time to do something. It's time to actually maybe even turn yourself upside down. What is the thing that you've been thinking about that you've been afraid to take a risk on? What is the thing that you've been wondering about that you haven't really investigated? Look, you don't have to spend $1,000 on a course. You can just get curious about the course content. Maybe take maybe if there's a free video that you can watch. Maybe if there's, if the course is $1,000, but the same person wrote a book that's like $20, buy the book and read it first and see if you like their style, if you like their vibe. You don't necessarily have to go from 0 to 60. And I think that that's another piece that the magician offers. The magician understands the importance of methodology. The magician understands the importance of knowing what components are, meaningful, what things work with what spells or with what incantations or rituals. It's the same thing with tarot. I took a tarot course a couple of years ago so that I could learn the fundamentals. I learned the rules and I learned the basics enough to the degree that I felt comfortable interpreting the cards. And I also understand that it's a living, breathing relationship. Tarot is going to continue to reveal itself to me and its mysteries throughout my lifetime. My point here is when you know what the rules are, then you know what rules you can break. I was a makeup artist for a long, long time. I'm an excellent baker. I'm an excellent cook. I'm an excellent gardener and farmer. All of those things, you have to understand the fundamentals. Color theory, line and form for makeup artistry. For baking, it is a science. It is precise. You need to know what ingredients need to be in what ratios to get the kind of reaction and the outcome that you want. Same thing with gardening and farming. If you're growing 100 plants, you have to know 100 different things that are important to all of those 100 different plants. And then once you understand the basics and the fundamentals, then you can begin to play with them. Then you can begin to bend and break and maybe even change the rules a little bit. But the magician is telling you, number one, you got to root it into something real. You got to make it physical. You got to take some action. Number two, you have everything that you need. It just might feel like you're upside down a little bit. And number three, let yourself be where you are. If you're feeling upside down right now, don't fight it. Don't fight it, because that's only going to add to the resistance, which is going to add to the pressure, which is going to add to the anxiety, which is going to add to the sense of overwhelm, and then you're just going to shut down. So I get, I get the sense with the magician reversed, it's really saying where you are, regardless of whether or not you can understand how where you are is serving you right now. And I understand that in the midst of all of this intensity, it can feel a little bewildering and a little overwhelming, but that's life. Sometimes life is challenging. Sometimes life is difficult. Sometimes life is hard. Sometimes things don't go the way we wanted them to, the way that we hoped that they would, but that doesn't mean that we can't find a moment. Exhale, find your center. Have the emotional feels if you need to cry, if you need to scream, if you need to go yell at the sky, if you need to punch a pillow, whatever you need to do it, and then come back to your center. Then come back to your place of power. Then come back to your sovereignty, because the magician also understands that they are not going to operate in ceremony from a place of being scattered or chaotic. It's what I do before any reading, even these collective readings. I take a good few minutes to stop, to get quiet, to connect, to silence my own inner monologue and really begin to hear the voice and the words of spirit and really asking myself to be used as a vessel. So the magician understands the importance of being centered and grounded in your own power before you proceed, because you don't want to create from a place of panic, a place of fear, a place of scarcity or lack, because that's all you're going to produce more of is that energy. So whatever it is that you're walking into the door with is really kind of the fuel in your tank. So ask yourself, is the state that I am currently operating within, is that the state that I want to create from? It's a really powerful question. Okay, so now we're looking at what is coming in. And Four of Cups reversed. Four of Cups reversed, to me, the Four of Cups is often about discernment. To me, the Four of Cups is often about boundaries. And again, we'll turn it upright. We can see this person just kind of on their own, under the tree, thinking about life, considering their choices. They have some things in front of them, right? There's some full cups here, but then there's this other choice. And this cup, we're not entirely sure. Is this just an idea that you have? Is this a thought that you have? Is this an actual physical manifestation of something that's a potential or a possibility? One of the things that I'm very aware of when I look at this imagery is how close this is to the ace, right? If you look at the aces on the traditional Rider-Waite, it's like the hand of God emerging from the clouds with the cup or the coin or the sword or the wand or whatever the suit is. So we have what looks sort of like an ace of cups, but is it? Are we entirely sure if this is what we want? And to see the Four of Cups reversed tells me, again, you're in the process of changing. I think that what I think is really at play right now is one of two things. You're either clarifying a dream and you're getting clearer and clearer on the vision, and you're beginning to really focus in on what is in front of you, and you're kind of letting these things go by the wayside, or you're letting this little voice, you're kind of saying, you know what, I don't want to hear that right now. Like, let's push pause on that. I want to focus on what's in front of me right now. So I think that you're either clarifying a dream and a vision, or you're really questioning if what you have been pouring yourself into, because that's what the cup is. The cup is the heart. The cup is the feminine self. The cup is the vessel waiting to be filled. So when we look at the cups reversed, oftentimes it's a sense of the cup being poured out. Like, ooh, I don't think I want this anymore. And so I just pour it down on the ground or in the sink or whatever. So I think that with the Four of Cups reversed, what I'm getting the sense is there's some questioning happening, and that's okay. Just because you're having doubts or you're questioning something doesn't mean that you don't want it, doesn't mean that it's a bad thing, and it doesn't mean that it needs to be discarded or neglected. I think it's healthy to inquire, especially your own internal workings and your own internal self. And it's not about, gaslighting yourself or trying to, undermine your own decisions. It's not trying to, chip away at that resolve and say, oh, I don't think you can have that. Oh, I don't think that's possible. No, it's about saying, I can create anything that I want. I am the creator of my reality, period. Everything that I have ever experienced has been chosen on some level, period. So when I accept that and acknowledge that, what that does is it gives me back my power. And now I can say, do I want to pour all of my brilliance into this one thing? Is this really what I want to do? Am I really committing? Because here's another piece. Where we are right now, we have this immense number of choice points. And a choice point is really a moment in our experience where we get to decide door one or door two. Or sometimes we say, I don't want door one or door two, Spirit. We're going to have to build another door. And that's perfectly within your authority and your agency as a sovereign being to say, actually, I don't want either of those choices. I'm going to build my own choice. That's what I'm in the midst of doing with this temple project. I'm finally in a course where I'm learning how to build the business plan. I'm in the process of crafting it, getting it really clear so that I can begin to present it to investors and get the money to acquire the land and invest it in actually building the thing in form. What this is asking me to do is get crystal clear on the vision in its big picture. What is the mission? What are the principles? What are the core values? And why am I doing this? Why am I pouring myself into this? And I know what the answers are, but the process has not been without a little bit of give and take. There's moments where I'm like, oh my God, this feels so overwhelming. I just don't want to do it at all right now. In those moments, I don't force myself. I shut the computer. I get up. I go outside. I take a nap. I have something to eat, whatever. Then when my body has reached, more stasis and my nervous system has calmed down, then I can come back to it and go, okay, is this really how I want to do it? Because here's the thing. This is going to be a multi-million-dollar operation that I'm building here. This is not something that I'm just going to be fucking half-assed about it. I'm not going to do it just because I think I should. I'm going to do it because it's really within me, the core, the gut. It's in my bones, and I can't think of anything else that I would want to do. So Four of Cups is what wants to come in right now, which I think is really just about allowing yourself to open your awareness to the things that you haven't really been acknowledging. The things that perhaps you've been afraid to ask because, oh my God, if I ask this question, then is the whole dream going to come crumbling down? It's like if you're in a relationship and you kind of have a sense that maybe there's some infidelity or dishonesty or something kind of shady going on, but you're like, oh my God, if I ask that question and then they say, yeah, I've been sleeping around, or yeah, I've been stepping out or whatever, then I have to deal with that answer. And so sometimes we bury our head in the sand because it's easier just to live the lie than it is to get the real truth, because the real truth then requires me to make the choice that honors my true self. So I think that sometimes we're afraid to question things because we know deep down that perhaps it's not what we've been saying that it is, or it's not what we want. We've just been pretending. Here's the thing. Investigation and interrogation of what we believe is true or what we have been told is true only ever does one thing. Write this down. Questioning what has been held up as true, whether internal or external, whether it's me saying this is true or the man on the 5 o'clock news saying this is true, questioning what has been held up as true only ever does one thing. It reveals how true it actually is. So if something is really true in its pure form and it's honest and it's divine and it's authentic, then my questioning it is only going to reveal that exactly what it is. If something isn't true and it's been disguised as true, right, the wolf in sheep's clothing, then my questioning it like, you say you're a sheep, but why is your nose so long? You say you're a sheep, but why is your tail so long and floofy like my dog's tail? Questioning those things is going to reveal the truth. So be very wary of any person, any organization, any, group of individuals who says this is true and you cannot question it. You are not allowed to question this thing being told as true. You are not allowed to question it. You must just say, okay, and obey and comply. Not me. So 4 of Cups reversed is saying, give yourself the grace, give yourself the gift of getting clear and getting quiet. That's the other thing the 4 of Cups often points to, is you might have to get a little still and a little quiet to tap into what's really true for you. That means turning off the phone after this tarot forecast, obviously. That means turning off the phone, turning off the laptop, going sitting outside in the woods, leave your fucking phone at home, get out of the distracted mode, get out of the activation of the mental self, because we're already in a Mercury ruled sign. So you don't need any more mental stimulation. What you need to do is find some stillness and some solace so that you can start to make sense of all of the chatter that's happening up there in that Gemini Mercury energy. So I think 4 of Cups is really, I said that this is the card that represents what's coming in, and it is, but I think it's more about the card that represents what you need to acknowledge. The card that's asking you to kind of open yourself up to the corners you haven't been wanting to investigate. Because I promise you, as scary as you might think those hidden corners are, they also hold nuggets of gold that are going to blow your mind. So give yourself the grace of exploring it fully and not going into magical thinking of like, I don't see it, it doesn't exist. All right, so the card that represents what's here right now, what's on your doorstep, what's in your life, or what's in your lap, Temperance reversed. Very clearly, what I'm hearing is the time for the comfort zone is over. The time for giving yourself that extra break is coming to a close. And what I mean by that is it's not about being hard on yourself. It's not about pushing yourself to do things you don't want to do, but it may require you to get uncomfortable. It may require you to say yes to things that are overwhelming or daunting or that you just don't know how to do. The thing with temperance is often, it's about balance. It's about tempering your relationship with things. It's about, making sure that whatever, all things in moderation, even moderation, right? My favorite saying is if it's worth doing, it's worth overdoing. That's what temperance is saying, is take a moment and just chill and find some balance and find your center. When I see temperance reversed, that to me, the image that I'm seeing right now is it's the mother kicking the baby birds out of the nest. We've had this nest in the front entryway of my sister and brother-in-law's house where I've been for the past few years. It's this little nest. It's so cute. These swallows built this nest years ago, and then they ended up abandoning it during 4th of July because the fireworks were so loud one year in the neighborhood. And so there's a mother, a pair of birds that have come and made their nest in this little vestibule in the nest every year. And they lay eggs and they have babies. This year she had like 5 babies. My God, she had so many babies. And this little nest is so tiny and it is packed with these birds. And just a couple days ago, we were watching it and we're like, they're getting ready to fledge the nest any minute now. There's no way. They're getting so big and they're starting to stretch their wings. And the mother wasn't coming as often. She was like standing outside and, calling to them, trying to entice them, encourage them to fledge the nest and follow her. They finally fledged the nest the other day, and now it's the joy of watching these baby birds that are all around the yard trying to figure out how to be a grown-up bird. That's to me what temperance reversed is. Here's the thing. The mother knows instinctively when it is time for the birds to leave the nest. The mother knows instinctively when it is time to stop feeding them and to let them begin to feed themselves. And certainly there is that bridge moment where she's still feeding them, but now she's showing them how to catch their own flies. They're fly catchers. They're a fly catcher species. She's showing them how to fly through the air and get their own bugs and get their own little, breakfast and their meals. So temperance reversed as what is here right now is saying, baby, you gotta be a little uncomfortable. You got to be willing to step into the unknown a little bit. You got to be willing to just, one step over the line. And that's kind of what I see here when temperance is reversed. What's at the top? We see how temperance, this is Archangel Michael, traditionally has their foot in the pool, right? So to see it reversed, the thing that is at the top is you got to begin to step into the new thing. You got to begin to dip your toe into the water. I'll use my own example again. As I'm building this plan and building this, my pitch deck for the investors to get this land, I'm having to look at financial projections and spreadsheets and things that traditionally I have never done. I don't know how to do it. It's not a skill that just comes effortless for me. And I found at moments it's very, very challenging because it's something that I just don't intuitively understand. But I keep showing up, I keep doing the work, I allow myself to be uncomfortable, and I am really beginning to understand the value of, yes, there is a time for rest, there is a time for rehabilitation, there is a time for relaxation, and if the rest and the rehabilitation and the relaxation aren't serving you to replenish you and to recharge your battery and to give you the time to get clear on what it is you need and what you want, then it just becomes a bad habit. Then it just becomes lazy. Then it becomes, well, I just use the crutch because it's easier than walking on my own. So what's here for you right now, temperance reversed, it's time to leave the nest. It's time to start getting a little uncomfortable. It's time to start moving in the direction of the things that you don't know. It's time to start moving towards like, oh, God, I'm really nervous, but I'm going to do it anyway. I'm feeling really insecure because I'm really in a deficit of knowledge, but I'm going to do it anyway. Maybe it's hard for you to ask for help or admit what you don't know or admit when you're wrong or when you just are ignorant to something altogether, but that's okay. That's how we grow and learn. You weren't born knowing how to tie your shoes, drive a car, or eat with a knife and a spoon. You were born as this blank slate that was then just soaking up everything like a sponge. And over time, the things that at one time were really, really challenging, you do them without even thinking about it. So don't let the fact that you don't know how to do it be a reason to not try. Don't let the fact that you feel a little uncomfortable or way outside of your comfort zone be a reason to just give up and sort of fall back into a pool of nothingness and just be lazy. It's time to do. It's time to choose. So the card for what's moving out, Lovers reversed. This is the Gemini card. I love that this is what's moving out. And we're also at the tail end of Gemini season. So we're getting to, oh good, Susan, I'm glad that you're enjoying this. Anybody else feeling the rings of truth and clarity here? Let me know in the comments. So the Lovers is the Gemini card. The Lovers reversed. Well, that's what I see. It's the unification. It's time. It's time to stop dividing yourself against yourself. One of the things that I often see with the Lovers is sometimes it's about relationships. Sometimes it's about, our love and our partnership and all that. But really more often than not, the Lovers is about what divides us, what separates us, right? This mountain that seems so insurmountable, the peak between us. Like, what is it that separates it from ourselves? Is it our fear? Is it our doubt? Is it our old programming? Is it our old stories? Is it, because we just don't have an understanding of how to do it, because we've never had to do it on our own. Maybe you've been, a serial monogamist. Maybe you've been in relationships your whole life just because you felt it was easier than being single, but maybe you weren't even really happy in those relationships. It was just kind of the default of like, well, I don't want to be alone, so I might as well be with this person. So maybe that's what you're being asked to do, is get comfortable being on your own. Figure out how to be more self-sufficient. Figure out how to drive your own ship and, steer your own bus or whatever. So the Lovers reversed as what is moving out. I think that's what it's talking about, is accepting the fact that it's not about leaning into the old story of, oh, I can't do this. Oh, I don't know how to do this. Oh, this thing happened. Oh, this old history. Oh, this old pattern. Oh, this old story. Look, what happened to you happened to you. right? Nobody can take away the experiences of trauma or suffering or difficulty that often shape who we are and shape who we become. But they don't have to define you. Just because there's a label that you were given or a label that you even claimed for yourself doesn't mean that you have to keep inhabiting that label. You know, I think a lot about my own relationship with my own sexuality and my own sexual identity. And when I came out of the closet at 18, 19 years old and moved to Seattle, it was all about being gay. Gay. And all of a sudden I was like, gay, yeah, I'm gay and I can be out. And I always knew that I was, but I didn't really know what that meant. I didn't have any gay elders to mentor me into what it meant to be, you know, a grown-ass gay man. I didn't have anybody showing me from those formative, you know, early teen years that this is what's possible as a gay person or a queer person. And so I just adopted a lot of behaviors and a lot of patterning when I moved to Seattle at 19 years old. I just kind of did what everyone else was doing. Right? Oh, if you're gay, it means you go out and you get drunk and you party a lot. Okay, well then let's do that. Oh, if you're gay, then that means you have a lot of promiscuous sex and you know, fuck a lot of people. Okay, well let's do that. If you're gay, it means you listen to this kind of music and you go to these kinds of places and you wear these kinds of things. I'm not saying that those things are inherently bad or good. All I'm saying is I never was the one to decide if that's what I really wanted to do. And it took me until, you know, the past 6, 7 years of my life to reclaim my identity and say, I don't really even identify with the word gay anymore. I think of myself more as queer. And a lot of the things that I used to do because I thought I had to be a part of the gay community, I don't want to do those things anymore. I don't want to go out and get fucked up. I don't want to be in my 50s chasing the endless youth. I don't want to be, you know, denying my responsibility and accountability. I don't want to sleep with anything and anybody that moves. That's not for me. So what I'm saying here is the Lovers reversed as what is moving out. Those old stories of separation, those old beliefs about yourself that divide you and separate you from yourself. And I think someone in the comments had just said, I want to make change or I'm ready to make change. I just don't know what to do. Then you begin to ask, okay, Spirit, this is what I want, but I don't know how to do it. So remind me. This is what I want, but I don't know how to get the resources. So please begin to connect me. And then the key is once you put that request out, you have to be willing to take action. You have to be willing to take steps. That's what the masculine principle is. That's what the cosmic dad energy is. It says, okay, you just have to start making steps in the direction of the things that you want. And if you forget what you want, if you lose sight of, wait, why am I doing this in the first place? That's your feminine principle. The feminine is why. The masculine is how. So the feminine says, I want a life that feels free, that feels creative, that feels community, that feels this, where I do these things and this is a part of my day. And the masculine says, okay, cool. That's a cool laundry list of things. Now I'm going to go out and figure out how to build it. So also remembering that you are the magician. You are the magician. You are the vessel for divine. You are God in a body. So when you don't know how to do something from your current level of awareness, what do? You take a moment, you drop in, and you move into your own personal Akash, the pantheon of beings that you are, the pantheon of beings that you have been in all of these concurrent previous, past, and future lives. You have access to all of that right now. So what you do is you say, okay, for me, again, I'll use my example with all this accounting stuff and all this financial planning. It's not something that I really have an experience with. So I tap in and I go up into my inner space and all right, all of the selves that are in here, I know somebody in here has an understanding of financial knowledge and financial planning. So either download the information into my field or connect me with someone that can help me. And boom, it happens every single time. So I think that the Lovers reversed as what is moving out is saying it's time to stop pretending that you are divided. It's time to stop using old stories, old narratives, old wounding, old patterning as an excuse. Again, nobody can ever take your experience away from you, and nobody is saying that it didn't happen. But at some point you have to decide, okay, I may not have chosen this consciously. I may not have been willing to participate in this thing that happened to me, but I can also decide that at some point I'm moving on. I'm not letting that define me anymore. Same thing with, the story of being a gay person. It's often, oh, you're victimized. Oh, you're marginalized. Oh, you live on the fringe. Well, for some people, that's true. And again, I'm not denying those people who are victimized and marginalized, but that doesn't mean that that's the only option. You can begin to say, you know what? I don't resonate with that story of being a victim anymore. That's not something that I want to embrace or that I want to perpetuate. So I'm going to accept the identity that I have now. I'm going to accept the history that I have lived right now and say, yes, these things happen. And then I'm going to say, Spirit, show me another way. I'm done learning through separation and victimization and exclusion. I want to learn through unification and empowerment and inclusion. You just have to decide what you want and then ask for it and then be willing to take the steps that show up. I see this all the time. Oh, Amar, I don't know what to do. I don't have a sign. I don't know what to do. No one told me. You always have a sign. You always have a sign. Every single time when I hear someone say, I don't have a sign, yeah, you do. You just don't want it to be that sign. You just don't want to do the thing that you're being asked to do. Or you haven't gotten quiet enough. You haven't taken the time to really stop and get still and shut out all the external voices. That's another thing with the lovers, is it's about your own internal experience with yourself. Stop asking advice from people who have never done what you're going to do. Stop asking advice for how to be a free, independent spirit from someone who never left the home that they grew up in as a child, right? If you grew up in small town America and never left, I'm not going to ask you how to move to the big city. If you've never built something from the ground up and you've always worked for other people and had other people tell you what to do and where to go, no shame in that. That's who you are. But I'm not going to ask you how to be an entrepreneur if you've never been an entrepreneur. So that's another piece is, it's time for you to start relying more on yourself. It's time for you to start relying more on yourself. And not that you're doing it alone, but that understand that when no one else is in the room, it's all on you. Nobody's coming to save you. Nobody can do it for you. If you want to be a painter, you got to paint. If you want to be a dancer, you got to dance. If you want to be a fascist dictator, then you need to go overthrow some fuckers. Like whatever it is that you want to do, you have to do it because no one's going to do it for you. And here's the thing. You may feel like you're alone in the beginning, but I promise you, as you begin to proceed, as you begin to build the plan and craft the vision in real time, the resources and the co-creators and the collaborators will arrive. Your frequency is changing. You're giving off a new energy right now. And there's a transitional period when you go from the old way to the new way. Like me, when I was 18 and moved to Seattle from small town Wyoming, I didn't know anybody there. I knew one person through a mutual friend, but I didn't know anybody there. I hadn't met anyone in Seattle face to face, and I just moved there. So the transition was going from, oh my God, I'm this queer kid in small town Wyoming feeling so isolated, now in the big city of Seattle. And over time, I met the friends and the people that I'm still in connection with, still in contact with to this day, people that are still a really core part of my life. But I never would have met them if I hadn't taken the risk to move to Seattle at 18 and go out on my own. So even though it feels right now like maybe you're alone and you're the only one, it will change once you begin to walk forward on the path. Once you change your trajectory, once you change your direction, now you are moving into the people that are going to be a part of the new life and the people that are going to be part of the new vision. It's like a spin-off of a sitcom, right? Friends, for an example. Friends were all the friends and they met at Central Perk and they had their life, and then after 7 seasons or whatever, it ended. And then there was that horrible spin-off Joey where Matt LeBlanc Joey moved to Los Angeles to become an actor or whatever he did. And that's a horrible analogy I get because that Joey show sucked. But my point here is the show Joey could never have happened if Joey, the character, hadn't left Central Perk and left New York City to go to the West Coast. That's my point. You're not going to know who's a part of the new life until you step into the new life. You feel me? Okay. How's this vibing for you? Let me know. Are you feeling it? Are you feeling inspired? Are you feeling connected? If you are, you could also make a financial donation. You can find in my Linktree, my PayPal, and my Square, my Stripe. That would be a greatly appreciated. So now we're going to ask, there's the medicine. And what is hidden? What is hidden, Spirit? What is hidden? What can't we see? Oh, there she is. Okay. So what is hidden is the Queen of Swords reversed. again, what I'm seeing here is echoed in the Magician reversed with the wand pointing to the ground, is in saying, like, you got to ground it, you got to root it, you got to make it real, you got to put it into physical action and physical form. You know, Queen of Swords, she's not fucking around, first of all. Queen of Swords is that air sign energy. She is Gemini energy. She is, you know, the sword is your thoughts. It's your beliefs. It's your mental activity. And we are, again, we're in Gemini season. We're in Mercury rulership. We're in the air element. This could not be more, you know, more accurate for where we are right now if it tried. So Queen of Swords reversed, I think, is a couple of things. Number one, again, are you rooting? Because look what happens when we're reversed. Now the sword is pointing to the ground. It's pointing to the center. It's pointing to the core. So Queen of Swords is saying, are you rooting it into something? Or are you just thinking about it? Again, this is the masculine and the feminine principle. The feminine without the masculine is just an idea. The feminine without the masculine is just a desire. It's just a dream. It's just a vision board on the wall. The masculine without the feminine is action for no reason. It's just going out there and creating out of chaos and knocking shit over. It's the bull in the china shop. The masculine needs the feminine why to ground his energy, to ground his action into benevolent service of the feminine self. The feminine needs the masculine to go out and do the thing. She says, this is what I want, baby. And he says, all right, I'm going to go out and I'm going to build it for you. And if it doesn't, or I'm going to go out and get it for you. And if it doesn't exist, I'm going to build it for you. So what is hidden is the Queen of Swords reversed. So she's saying a couple things. Number one, you got to do something. You got to choose it. You got to make it happen. You've got to decide. And it might be a risk. It might feel like a huge leap of faith. Maybe you're being asked to quit your job. Maybe you're being called to move in a totally new direction. You're not sure how it's going to happen. Again, you start to say, okay, Spirit, this is what I really want. My deep desire is to leave this job so that I can move into my own thing, build my own business, build my own practice. Or I want to leave this job because I don't mind working for other people, but I want to be in an environment where I'm valued. I want to be in an environment where I'm respected. I want to be in an environment where I'm appreciated and I'm seen as an integral part of the team. So those are the desires, right? That's the feminine want. That's the feminine, why am I doing this? Why do I want this? Why do I allow this? And then the masculine is the how. Okay, if I want another job, I got to put together my resume. I got to find a headhunter or, you know, someone who can help me find. Got to get on LinkedIn, whatever it is you have to do. So that's the first thing is Queen of Swords reverse is saying you got to do something. You got to take action and ground it. And you got to claim it, right? Stake your claim. Pierce the ground with the sword and saying, this is my land. This is my property. This is my claim. She's also saying, where are you not trusting your own internal knowing? Because when we see the Queen of Swords upright, that sword is pointing straight up to the sky. She knows exactly what she's connected to, and she uses the tool of the sword to pierce that veil, to pierce the illusion, to pierce the lies or the untruth. So she is absolutely clear on who she is. And the Queen of Swords is not to be fucked with. You do not mess around with her. She knows who she is. She knows where she comes from. She knows how to get what she wants, and she knows she has a team of supporters. So what I see with her upright is she is clear. Look at even her vision. Can the card focus, please? Look how clear she is on her vision. She's up here with the birds. Like, she is so high up in her awareness of who she is and what she wants. But when it's reversed, is she questioning herself? Is she second guessing herself? Is she gaslighting herself? And by the way, you know, the term gaslighting is the new narcissist. Like, everyone just it's privilege, narcissism, and gaslighting. We just love to use those words just to shut down the conversation. Oh, you're privileged. Okay, well, where can we go from there, right? Oh, you're a narcissist. Okay, where can we go from there? Like, that's not a conversation. That's you just not wanting to move beyond the boundaries of your own discomfort. So you're projecting that onto everybody else, but I digress. But in this case, yes, this is, are you gaslighting yourself? Are you lying to yourself to control yourself and keep yourself small? Are you, falling back into old stories of, I can't, I'm powerless, I'm a victim, I don't know how? Okay, again, none of us knew how to tie our shoes and drive a car and eat with a spoon when we were born, but here we are. Here we are. At some point, you had to be willing to take the driver's test and learn how to drive and get your license. So what she's saying with the Queen of Swords reversed is what is hidden. You got to make it real. You got to take action. You got to ground that into something. And Where are you using that old mental loop, that old narrative, that tired old song of poor me, I can't do it? Where are you using that as an excuse to stay put? Where are you using that as an excuse to stay small? Where are you using that as an excuse to stay in the comfort zone? Because again, temperance reverse, she's right here saying, baby, the time for the napping and the being, sleeping by the pond is over. It's time for you to get up and take action. So that's what's hidden. That's what the driving force is. So when I'm talking about what's hidden, what's behind the scenes, what's under the water, what's under the surface, what is that current and that frequency that's kind of pushing you forward, and maybe you haven't taken the time to really tap into it and clue into it. But so Queen of Swords reversed as what is hidden, ground it, and stop second guessing yourself. Stop minimizing yourself. It's important. If it's important to you, then it's important. If it's meaningful to you, then it's meaningful. If it's true for you, then it's true. If it's uncomfortable for you, then it's uncomfortable. Again, it's that same thing. Like, we don't necessarily always need to reflect out here to see, ooh, this is what I want, but does everyone else want this? Does anyone else want this? Shouldn't I look for someone else to approve or validate? No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't at all. Because for the most part, what we're being called to do is moving beyond what we've already done, right? We're moving beyond the consensus reality. We're moving into a time where we are reshaping and reforming society and what it means to be a human. So if we're just looking to the external world to tell us like, oh yeah, good job, girl, that's what you should do, most likely it's nothing new. Most likely, if the consensus is out there saying, yeah, this is good, then it's just something that regurgitates the same old stuff. What I would do is, what is it that makes people uncomfortable? What is it that kind of people saying, what are you doing? Why are you doing that? Those are the places we should be looking right now. What is it that butts up against the edges of the comfort zone? Find the edge of the comfort zone and then burn it the fuck down. Okay? Medicine. Your medicine right now, 6 of coins. What I'm hearing, generosity, being generous, being, sharing, right? If we think of abundance as abundance isn't a dead end street. It's not driving the truck full of money into the dead end street, dumping it all on your doorstep, and then the truck, drives away. No, abundance is a circle. Abundance is the truck with all the money comes through the neighborhood and makes a big circle, and everyone gets what they need. And we have this circular model where I take what I need and then I invest it forward. I pay it forward, or I make profit. And then rather than putting that profit in an offshore bank account, I sink the profit back into the business to make the business stronger, to make the business, more exciting, to make the business more vibrant. So what I'm hearing is the medicine for you, number one, is to be generous. And generosity doesn't have to be money. You can be dead ass broke and still be generous with your time. You can be generous with your compassion. You can be generous with your willingness just to listen and hold space for someone. You can be generous with your wisdom and your comfort and just your kindness. You can be generous with a smile. And generosity also does mean stuff. If you have money that you don't know what to do with, that you don't really need, and it's just sitting there collecting dust, find a worthy, person to invest it in, like me, or find a charity to invest it in, or build your own thing. So I think that, your medicine right now is, number one, be generous. Also generous with yourself. I know we were just talking about moving out of the comfort zone and using that Queen of Swords energy to do it, to take action and to make a claim. But the Queen of Swords is a benevolent ruler. So yes, we got to move out of the comfort zone, but you can do it in a way where you're kind and you're compassionate with yourself. Think of it as like a little kid who's scared on the first day of school, right? Oh, I don't know what's going to happen. I'm really afraid. What if no one likes me? What if I don't have any friends? What if they make fun of my shoes or whatever? You know that the kid's going to be fine, right? You know that the teacher is a loving teacher. You've met with the teacher. You know that, if it's a private school, you've already vetted the school. So you understand that the child is nervous. You understand that the child is hesitant. And you also understand that this is something that the child has to do. It's a rite of passage, right, baby? It's time for you to start going to school. It's time for you to move out into the world in that way. So you can be generous with yourself. You can know it's time to leave the comfort zone. You can know that it's time to challenge yourself and push yourself. And you can do it from a way that is kind and compassionate. That is the cosmic dad energy. That is the benevolent masculine principle. It's understanding that, yes, you are going to take action. Yes, it's time for you to clean up your mess. And I will also support you. I will be kind to you. I will be compassionate to you. It's not about going into the room and throwing the door opens, throwing on the lights, opening the blinds. Get up, you stupid fucker. It's time to, clean up your mess. No, it's, hey, are you in there? Time to come out and clean up your mess. Hey, it's time. You say, I don't want to. I know you don't want to, but it's time. I don't want to go to school. I know you don't want to, but it's time. I don't want to eat my vegetables. I know you don't want to, but it's time. So you can hold that deep feminine emotional space and also surround and support that with the benevolent masculine action, and you can root it into compassion. So it's about compassion, it's about kindness, it's about generosity, and there is a key right here. It's also about balance. Honey, the martyr thing is over. Climb down off the cross and use the wood to build something useful. It's not about sacrificing yourself to the degree that you are so out of whack that your scales are totally off balance. That is the key with the Six of Coins. This person is being very generous and very giving and very kind to those who don't have or those who are in need. Congratulations. That's awesome. Good for you. You're a good human. And you're also knowing what your limits are. You're also understanding, I can't give you $500. I can give you $200. But if I give you $500, then I don't have grocery money. So yeah, I can give you $200 because then you have what you need and I still have what I need. So another key here is the universe is not asking you to deplete yourself. That's another piece here, right? I've been talking about pushing yourself. I've been talking about taking action, and that's action in the benevolent way, right? It is the masculine principle. The masculine principle, the cosmic dad does. He takes action. He shows up. He's there. He gets it done. He picks up the hammer and pounds the nail to build the house. But he doesn't do it through force and aggression and depletion of his own battery. He doesn't bleed himself dry in the name of other people, because then he's depleted. And what good is he if he's depleted? So it's understanding that you can be compassionate and you can draw boundaries that are kind and say, I wish I could help you, but I can't. I'm sorry. Because if I help you to that degree, then I don't have what I need and I can't give to myself. And now both of us don't have what we need. So it's your medicine is to be kind, to be generous, and to do so in a way that does not deplete you, that does not ask you to do more than you're capable of, more than you can, right? It's not about sacrificing or martyring yourself anymore. No. Oh, and we'll draw one more. What's the shadow? Oh, I love this. So this is a new thing I do when I just pick up the deck and look at the card on the bottom, the moon. The moon is the shadow. And the thing with the moon is sometimes it's hard to trust, right? We can't tell. It's at night, right? The moon being out implies that it's dark out, right? So we can see everything's illuminated by the moon, but are you a wolf? Are you a dog? Are you going to bite me? Are you going to lick me and, be funny and silly and cute? Or are you going to try to eat me? So the moon, the shadow, is not everything will be clear from the visual perspective, right? The eyes don't lie, but the eyes can be deceived. Do you understand that? If I'm looking at this and I say, oh, that's a hand. But so the eye says, yeah, that's a hand. I see that. But maybe this is a prosthetic hand. Maybe this is an AI hand. Maybe I really don't have a hand and I'm just using AI to, or CGI to create a hand where there isn't one. So just because the eyes see it doesn't mean that it's true. Again, what did I say? 99% of the world out there is not objective reality. 99% of our reality is subjective because it's just a projection of what you've got going on internally. So the moon as the shadow is, if you're in the place where you're not sure what's true, close your eyes and trust what's in here. That is the superpower of the moon. The shadow of the moon is that I can't see out there because it's dark out, and even though the moon is shining, I still can't see. What is that? And is that a friend or a foe? So when I can't see, ironically, what do? Close my eyes. So the message with the moon is often close your eyes, and whatever remains, that's what is true. So and again, like I was saying at the beginning of the reading, the world outside is so loud right now and so divided right now. It is hard to know from one minute to the next what is true, what is real, which side am I on, what's good, what's bad. Stop looking to a sociopathic world to tell you what's true. stop, close your eyes, take a breath, take a beat, drop in and feel, okay, now I can see clearly. Now, the irony of the moon is that it's dark outside. So what do I do when it's dark outside? I close my eyes and I go into my own depths. I go into my own darkness and I ask myself, what is true for me? What is real for me? And sometimes what is true and what is real is going to require you to peel off from the pack. What is true and what is real for you will sometimes mean you have to say goodbye to some people, either for good or for now. We never know, but you have to be willing to put it on the line right now. You have to be willing to say, yeah, this is what I want. And although it scares me and although it intimidates or overwhelms me, I know it's what I want. And so I'm going to do whatever I have to do to go get it. There you go, friends. Thank you so much for taking the time to hang out with me today on Sunday. Happy Father's Day. Happy almost solstice. If you enjoyed this reading, if you found value here, consider making a donation. Stripe and PayPal are in the link tree. You can go to my website, amar.energy, if you want to book a session, book a private tarot reading, and you can buy my book on Amazon. Notes from the Higher Self by me, Amar. Love you, everybody. Mwah. Thank you so much. Have a great day. I'll see you soon.